Compartir nuestras experiencias, conectar con la gente y saborear la diversa comida es nuestro orgullo. Estas son las muchas voces de un pueblo.
Entrepreneur and owner of Hot Oven Cookies, Sheila Coon, has long had a passion for baking. With over 100 varieties of innovative flavors, she proves that not only do her cookies satisfy the stomach, but they satisfy the heart as well. And today we're at her storefront to learn more about her story and also, most importantly, try some of her cookies. I understand that as a young girl, you already had ambitions of opening a restaurant and going into that business. How did your culture and your upbringing influence that?
When my parents divorced when I was young, and my mom was always interested in cooking and baking. And so she needed to be around the house to take care of us. She was new here from Puerto Rico, and so she started a small business selling cookies. So she had two kinds of cookies, and I remember what intrigued me was I didn't know whose joy was the biggest. Hers as she was prepping and handing off the cookies, or them as they were receiving it.
So tell me a little bit about the journey, because you've had this love as a young girl. How did you follow that passion, or did you even follow that passion once you went off to college?
And to be honest with you, I became a teen mom at the age of 16. Prior to that, I was an honor student. My plan was to go to school and to become a restaurateur, a college graduate, and provide a better life for my kids than I had. I got my GED, and I had my son, and as soon as he was 6 months old, I was enrolled in college.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, too, with college, it wasn't straight into culinary school.
To be quite honest with you, I already knew that I wanted to go to college and be successful. Mm-hmm. But it was when I was sitting in the hospital, mm-hmm. when a nurse came up to me and told me that I might as well just give up on my dreams, that my life was over, and I should just become a CNA, or I should just become like a secretary, and that was offensive to me. So I said, I'll take your name down and I'll come back and I'll fill you in on the success my life has become. And so that was like a movement towards what I wanted to do. But on the flip side, I had my grandfather. I'm the oldest of 25 grandchildren. They had a hand in raising me. He wanted me to be a lawyer. So while I loved the baking and the cooking, and I even tried to get a business loan at 19, and they were very kind and told me to come back when I had a job, I just decided to just become a lawyer. And then I sat for the LSATs, which is the preparatory exam for law school, and I was like, no, this is not for me. It's just not. I couldn't foresee it. So I walked out of those doors. I walked into HCC, to the culinary program.
So how were you able to not let that negativity consume you and those people doubting you? Because a lot of people can just let that defeat them, but you haven't.
Those grandparents that I keep talking about, mm-hmm. My grandfather had a hand in forming the woman that I am, because he always told me, you are you. You're not Sheila the Puerto Rican, Sheila the dark-skinned person, Sheila the this, Sheila the that. You're Sheila the individual. And so whatever you choose to feed and sow into yourself is what you're going to reap later on.
And I understand that you competed for a spot in the Valley Venture Mentor Program, and you also graduated and received a grant from the Spark program in Holyoke.
So one day I dropped off my daughter. I remember it was Holyoke High School. It was 2014. And I saw an article that said that the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce got a $250,000 grant to give money to Latinos to open up their business. So I dropped my daughter off, and I drove over to the chamber, and I demanded my check. I'm like, where is my check? Kathy Anderson came out. She's so sweet, and she's like, well, it's not going to work that way. So we went through the process. She informed me that they were going to start the Spark program. Was I interested in it? And I said yes, and that's where it all started to kind of settle into place.
And I know you have the cookie truck that you do
yes.
events, you do catering, you do delivery service,
yes.
and now you have this beautiful storefront that you always wanted.
Yes.
Why did you pick this location for the storefront?
It was purposeful because VBM is down the street, and I wanted to stay plugged into them, and MGM was coming through. We had a small corporate kitchen in Holyoke, but we found that with the evolution of a storefront, there might not have been enough foot traffic, and there wasn't enough space. Because as we settled in through the kinks of the truck, we started moving on to the next phase, which is, okay, we need a production kitchen because our plan is to become a wholesale baker, to open up at least 6 more micro shops in Mass and then go national. And then we're also launching a raw cookie dough subscription service that ships nationally. So we needed a place that would allow us that. So we got a huge production. To me, it's huge, okay, because the last place was 380 square feet. But this is what we needed.
I wish that the viewers could smell the aromas that I'm getting right now being in this storefront. So I'm really excited to start baking cookies. So let's go ahead and bake cookies.
All right, let's go.
So before we start off with the cookies, I just wanted to bring up the fact, Sheila, that you are a mom of 7, which is amazing. How do you juggle the responsibility of having your business and children?
My business was created around the needs of my children. So one has always meshed into the other. And I've been very blessed that my older children have helped me at each phase. They're there to watch the 2 little ones that I still have at home, even to come work in the shop, like Alyssa here. This is my daughter, Alyssa Kemp, and she had no interest in baking ever. And then she saw what I was doing and she wanted to be part of it, which would allow her to take care of her family as well and be around. And so she's amazing.
So 0 interest in cooking, even though you were around it.
Cooking, yeah. Baking, no.
Baking, no. So cooking, yeah, but baking, no.
Baking, no.
How did you get involved in the behind the scenes kind of the business?
Well, I have 4 kids of my own, and so I'm a stay-at-home mom, so there's not really a lot of work for moms like me that still want to have time for their families. And when my mom opened up the shop, it provided me an opportunity to still have time with my family and contribute.
And speaking of the cookies, tell me, what do we have here today?
So these are our toffee caramel chip. It's a chocolate chip cookie with dark chocolate, toffee, salted caramel, and cacao nibs. It's one of the flavors of the week.
So what are you doing here, Alyssa?
I'm weighing out each individual cookie before they're baked. This is something that we do with all our doughs. So it definitely takes a lot of time and love and effort to produce all the cookies we have on a daily basis.
I mentioned that you guys have over 100 varieties of innovative flavors. Explain to me that a little bit, and also, how do you come up with so many flavors?
Okay. When I finally made that push to go to pastry school, I used to come home at night and make my kids pound cakes and cinnamon buns, and they were like, no way, we just want cookies. So I created 5 bases: chocolate chip, double chocolate, oatmeal, peanut butter, and sugar, thinking the 5 bases would appease the kids, right? And not my kids. My kids grew up around innovation in the kitchen, and they wanted their own flavor. So over the years, I just started a book, and I kept track of the funky things that they asked me to put in the cookies, and then some of the things that I thought would help, that I would like to eat. And so we came up with 125 flavors, and those are the flavors that Hot Oven Cookies was launched on, and we rotate them. We do not have 125 cookies at once, disclaimer.
I couldn't imagine coming into this shop trying to pick one flavor, right?
No. So we rotate them, and to be honest with you, it gives me an opportunity for my customers to come back in, because every time we launch a new menu, they have a reason to come back in and see me. And so it's pretty awesome, because we've been in business now since 2016, and I still have customers that were with us back when it started, and they're still here, and it's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So I also understand that some of your kids also come up with flavors as well.
Yes.
So it's truly a family business. What are some of your favorite flavors?
Mine is the French toast snickerdoodle,
That sounds
cheesecake
amazing.
snickerdoodle.
Yeah.
It's perfect. There's not too many ingredients, so you get to really taste what the base is, and a little bit of cheesecake in the middle.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us here. I'm so excited to try some of these cookies, and also I just have to say I do appreciate the process, seeing what goes into it. So thank you for having us.